Rudy Herras. I was born and raised in Philippines until my dad retired from the U.S. Army. He brought us here in America as an immigrant. I was 14 at that time. Graduated International High School in Alameda. Went to school, Laney College, taking automotive mechanic job. One day I was working in a gasoline station and a man pulled up with his car with a blown radiator. He looked at me and says, how long would it take? I pull up the hood and I check it, says he's got a blown radiator. And I said, well, it'll take about an hour and a couple of hours because I have to replace your radiator. So while I was working in this gentleman's car, he asked me, he says, have you considered PG&E? I said, what's PG&E? I've only been here 4.5 years. He says, well, they are a big utility company in the nation. I said, okay, where are they? He said, well, go look for their office in Oakland, 16th and Franklin, and there's one in San Francisco. I said, okay, thank you for the information. At that time, it was during the Vietnam era, where you had to stay in school to keep your grades up, or else you'll end up in the induction, army, or military. So I said, okay, thanks for the information. So I went to Oakland, 16th and Franklin. I put my application in, then took the bus, went to San Francisco, put the application in, and the personnel department says, can you take a test? I said, sure. So I took their test, series of battery tests, and it was around lunchtime. He says, why don't you go, before you go to lunch, why don't you go get a physical? I said, sure. So I went to get a physical, and when I came back from lunch, personnel said, would you like a job? I said, sure. So the first job I had with PG&E was a file clerk. I started in the 5th floor of the main building at 345 Mission. From there, from the accounting dispersing department, I went to get a job at the computer operations department, which is located on the 8th floor. That was a good location because you could see the life of night shift walking around the building outside the street. And at that time also, I was kind of interested in the computer operations. So I started putting myself to school. I went to computer programming classes. It's called Control Data Institute. So I graduated with a programming degree, but then while working in the department, computer operations department, it kind of set a bad taste to my. So while I was there, I used to run a lot of the computer equipment. We're processing the bills, any other computer-related paperwork that PG&E had, it went through that department. I used to scan payroll checks. That's why they tell you when you receive your paycheck or your pay stub, do not staple or fold the checks. Why? Because when we scan it, sometimes it'll jam. So when it's jamming, you have to iron it out and look. One time I said, wait a minute. I said, these guys are getting paid this much money? And I said, what is that job? So I started looking. I get the IBEW book. I said, what job is it? I said, well, I said, I'm doing all this job here, but yet I'm not getting as much as those guys are. So I started applying for those jobs. So when I was able to move and get another job, which was the gas service department, where they trained you, they have their own school. This is a 3-week school where they jam 6 months of information in that class. or they teach you all the operations of appliances and building meter sets like this one here. So, but not only that, you have to make sure that you learn all the basic operation of appliance or basic operation of how the gas is delivered to the home. Being a GSR, you are trained as a first responder. We investigate gas leak, high-low pressure, asphyxiation, carbon monoxide, asphyxiation, and every other investigation that we need to in order to make a home safe. Our job as a GSR is called gas service rep, is from the service valve into the building. So anything that is connected to that meter is our responsibility. I worked in that gas service department for 35 years. The last 5 years, I became their lead. Before my retirement, I had 45 GSRs under me. I'm responsible for their equipment, the tools, and all their test equipment. It has to be calibrated every 6 months. So that's why this job here, before you become one of this GSR, you have to be trained in all this. Leak grading, first responder, because we are the first one on site. We work on natural disasters, outages, fires. So this job here takes a big responsibility because you're not only protecting the public, but the property, and of course yourself from being injured or somebody getting injured because of your lack of performance. Being a GSR makes you think as safety. What is safety? PG&E is big on safety. It protects you, not only you, but your family. We want you to come to work and make sure you do your job properly and go home safely. Responsibility is number one. That's what makes you safe.
That's right. The company says, see something, say
See something, say something.
Yeah.
Do something.
Yeah.
You evaluate, you got to have a serviceman's eye. When you walk into a residence, you always scan.
Yeah.
You always look around you what could be a prone, unsafe situation. That's why we are trained as a PG&E employee. Work safe, be safe, and you are safe. Now, what can be a big advice to the upcoming generation? High school, middle school, PG&E. What is PG&E? It's just not turning on the lights and turning on the stove, you see fire. We have different jobs within our system. We are 27,000 employees. PG&E is just not gas and electric. We have our own communications department, public relations department. We have hydro, gas, computer operations. You have civil engineer, chemical engineer, electrical engineer. So all of these play in part as a PG&E. I'm thankful for PG&E because when I came here, like I said, I was only 14. But now I have 4 children, educated, went through school, from middle school all the way up to college. So PG&E is a good company. PG&E is a family-oriented company. Again, we like you to know that you are the future of this generation.